7 of the 8 had qualified, so we'll go through all the games because they all deserve a bit of chat, but we only have 2 moments tonight. So what was your moment from the weekend?
I suppose, Donal, with a few dead rubber games, St. Brendan's, their achievement, going down with a depleted squad down to Carsavine, taking on South Kerry, with a huge game for South Kerry, a win, depending on the other result, could have been through, and the spirit and the never say die attitude of those guys out there around Atford and Churchill and Blairville, and they gave it their all, Mitchell's as well, and what a score from Nathan O'Driscoll in the last minute. Did he know how important the kick was? But super score, the draw, it put South Kerry out of the championship, and it was a huge boost to St. Brendan's. Yeah, massive. I was there. I mean, it was a fantastic kick. It was an unusual game. St. Brendan's kind of bossed most of it. Black card. Next thing, South Kerry came back. They got level eventually. They went ahead. Fantastic kick by Dara Sullivan. Massive kick. I mean, Brian Sheena's kicked massive kicks back there, but this one was 60 yards plus. And then next play, give away the free. Ball goes to Nathan Driscoll, and bang over the bar. And I think it's fair enough for Brendan. They deserved a point. I mean, if you look at their campaign, they lost by 1 point. They lost to Field Rangers by 2 points, was it? And I mean, they drew. So I mean, they were thereabouts. There's only 18 players. They survived as well. My moment, I'll just throw in there because we don't have Liam. I suppose you look at history, and a lot of history, and I think history was created last night with Nagale winning their first county championship as a club on their own, and to think where they have come from to get to this level, and they beat West Kerry. I mean, West Kerry are no bad side either, and it was a high scoring game, and it was nice. So we're going to throw Nagale in there, and we'll put Nathan Driscoll in there as well, and we'll add them all to the rest, and of course people can vote away. A couple of comments, of course. Have the panel any views on the county championship between Shannon Rangers and St. Cairns, which turned out to be a game between Tarbert and Knocknagoshel? Does it undermine the integrity of the county championship? And that's John from North Kerry, and there is about 7 more of those in and around the same type of comments. I mean, obviously it was the one that kind of stood out at the weekend. Just to clarify, of course, there's nothing untold. I mean, Tarbert were representing Shannon Rangers. They are Shannon Rangers, really. Knocknagoshel, of course, thing. But does it leave kind of a bit of it was a dead rubber, and people are talking about this game out of all 8 games at the week. Does it kind of undermine things? It's disappointing, Donal, I'll be honest. I'm not sure of the full story, being honest with you. Shannon Rangers have to look at themselves. There's no doubt about it. I won't mention St. Cairns because I'm a North Kerry man, Shannon Rangers man. A lot of negativity about North Kerry football over the last number of years. Field Rangers have bucked the trend. We'll talk about them later on. Fantastic run in the championship. They proved it can be done. How many players weren't available, I'm not so sure. But Tarbert represented Shannon Rangers and won the game. Knocknagoshel represented St. Cairns. But it says a lot. It has to be looked at from the Shannon Rangers, from the management, the top table, the players. I think it needs to be looked at seriously. There are players out there, and the excuse of races and what went on, that's not an excuse for me. The players that want to play will be there. There's plenty of excuses out there if you want them. They fielded a team and they played and they won, but it papers over what the real problems are, and I think they have to be looked at. Yeah, I think it will be something that will be looked at it later on. Let's look at Group 1 first of all, John. I mean, at the end of the day, it was, I suppose it was easy enough really, the 2 teams that won it, but ending in a draw, Kinmare and Crokes. Yeah, Kinmare and Crokes. Crokes 4 or 5 points up. Kinmare never said that attitude. Came back. Stephen O'Brien led the attack there. Shawnee Shea again, Tony Brosnan, Keane McMahon, familiar faces coming through. Crokes are never far away. They've qualified top of the table. They went through on scoring average. Kinmare, tremendous grit and determination. They'll be tough. They were the 2 teams you'd look at before we started to come out of the group. There was questions about St. Cairns, could they do it or not? But I think the 2 teams that we picked did come out. They did, yeah. And I think it's gas that you're mentioning the names. Those names kind of performed all the way through as well. I mean, Shawnee Shea had scored his second time scoring 10 points. Stephen O'Brien scored 6 there another day at his ease, and they're performing well. Group 2, who came through for Group 2, John? Group 2, East Kerry and Dingle were the 2 teams. This was a real cracker back in Dingle. I think the attitude of both teams was when you saw the team sheets. James Dunn obviously out because of suspension. Padraig Lucy coming in, and the interesting one was Shane Ryan going back in goals
Third goalkeeper in 3 games for East Kerry. It's some luxury, isn't it?
It is. And I think Lee mentioned it here last week about Jerry O'Sullivan with the panel he has at his disposal. What's the best 15? He certainly tried them out. It was a real cracker. Barry Sullivan, very impressive for Dingle. There will be worry about Paul Gainey's injury towards the end, but East Kerry, the Cliffords again. Dara Roach played well too, Paddy Clifford in particular, and they got the result. While there was no pressure on, it was a very good performance by them back in Park and Ahosig, and both teams thrown merit. And I think that was East Kerry were going to be going through. There's a lot to talk about Dingle. I think they've played well in this championship, and they're a team that people will want to avoid in the draw tonight.
Spa got their win. Yeah, Kerns O'Rahilly's, I think, judging by the players they rested, David Moore, Tommy Welch, Cormac Coffey, Jack Savage out, a great win for Spa. It's important for a team like that going up to senior to consolidate their position, and it's always great to get a win. Like you said, Nigel a while ago, it's great for them to get the win. Kerns O'Rahilly's maybe have one eye on another competition, I'd say. I think they have, yeah. I mean, if you look at the scoring difference, what did they concede at the end of it? It was a minus 30 something.
Minus 35, yeah.
So, that's a big beating for a team that were in the final last year. But I think you're right. I think they have one pass, and that'll come shortly. Group 3.
Group 3
was a busy one.
Mid Kerry, they could be dark horses in this championship. A great victory, 115 to 1-7 over Stacks. No Stacks, missing players. Injury has really ravaged the team.
And big players, Brendan Sullivan,
big
Joe
players,
O'Connor, big players too.
We mentioned here last week of Brendan O'Sullivan with Joe O'Connor out. Brendan O'Sullivan takes on the mantle then of being the leader around the middle of the field. Kieran Dunn, he got his first start. But Mid Kerry, I think Finan Clifford, Liam Carey, Ian O'Connor, Jack O'Connor, look at the talent they have. They're playing like a club team. They're coming in quietly. Certainly they're top of the table. Austin Stacks, the game between Stacks and Nigel was always going to be a vital one. Whoever would win that would have the momentum, as we said. Stacks won it, they got through, and again, it'll depend. Can they get players back? If they don't, it's going to be a struggle for Wayne and the lads, I think.
Yeah, there possibly were the two teams that you might have picked anyway to get out of the group, but I mean, I probably wouldn't have said Mid Kerry would win 3 games, No. But I mean, they have. Another team who've won 3 games are in the other group, Field Rangers. I have to admit, I mean, when I saw that group, I saw, that's a real open group. But I certainly didn't think Field Rangers were going to top it with 3 wins at their ease.
No, and as an North Kerry man, it gives me great pleasure to see him top of the table, being honest with you, because there's not 2 bad footballers out there. There's a lot of clubs doing a lot of great work. It's about harnessing it for the county championship, and this thing of we won't win it, that malaise has gone through for a number of years, but they got their house in order. As I've said before, they got good people involved. Billy Lee came in, I think he might be critical. John James Buckley as manager. They're top of the table. Barry Mahoney is playing some fantastic football along with Martin Stack. Mahoney's a guy that, if we were picking fellas that Jack O'Connor might have a look at to bring in, Barry Mahoney certainly would be one. He's a huge talent. He's leading the line for them, and they're top of the table. It was a game going down to Timplenoe, regardless. I know Timplenoe were missing a few players, but regardless who they were missing, always difficult to go down. People will say it was race week in Listowel for Field Rangers as well, but they went down. I believe they're training during the week. A full house turned up. That shows there's a determination. Nobody will want to draw them tonight, because I think they're playing with confidence. They're winning 3 games on the trot. Success breeds success, and winning, the confidence that comes from it, very impressive. And Timplenoe then, because of the other game, they got through. They had been hanging on, and then South Kerry looked as if they were in there, and as we said, Nathan O'Driscoll's last minute kick in the 65th minute, I think, put South Kerry out, and Timplenoe got through. A great achievement for Timplenoe as well, but a worry will be Adrian Spillane. I think, went off with an injury. How bad it is, how severe it is, could determine how they do in the next round.
And of course, the injury, of course, 3 games in a row, John, but it's going to ravage teams as well, because I suppose it really tests your bench and your panel and your strength in depth. All that kind of really plays to district teams, I would imagine.
It does. I think the club teams are under a bit of pressure, because they had the club championships previously. Now they're the senior teams, and now they're going into a senior county championship. It's no matter how big your panel is, you take the top 18 or 20 players. After that, you're not at the same level, and if you lose one or two of your key players, your marquee players, you're under pressure. It has stretched them, all the club teams, and we hope that they'll all be back, the Paul Gainey's and the Adrian Spillans, because we're at the business end now, and you want to see your best players tugging out.
Absolutely, and of course that draw's coming at 7:15 this evening, John, and you'll be back with us again, of course, just to kind of look at the quarter-final draw, and I mean, it's predictable enough. Obviously, the four winners will be in one pot, and we'll have the four. The four runners up, I suppose, and the other part. Can teams play each other from before, or is that different?
I think they can't. So that means Field Rangers can't, Trottimple no.
Yeah.
And then you've well, the rest, there's no other pairing then. I think the rest, it's an open draw then.
Yeah, okay, so there's going to be a bit of fun in that as well, a bit like the Eurovision, which will be great. John, thanks for all the help, I suppose, over. We will have you back. Hi, Donal, congratulations to Mark O'Connor on winning the AFL with Geelong. Delighted for him and his family. He'd be a huge addition for Dingle in the coming championship, and could give him a great chance of winning it, providing Paul Gainey's injury isn't serious. That's from Charles. Quickly on that, and we just have about a minute. Mark O'Connor, he could come home, could he?
I'm led to believe he will be home, and if he is, the rumour is that whether it is true or not, is that he can play. Yeah. If he can, I'll tell you, he's going to be a huge boost to Dingle, and if Paul Gainey is fit, they'll be tough nut, and we'd like to congratulate Mark on behalf of every GA person in Kerry, every sports person in Kerry. Marvellous achievement, following on from Ty Kennelly. Fantastic to see him. It's a tough one to go away, it's a difficult one at such a young age, and looking at him at the weekend there, he's really matured, he's really filled up, and he's some athlete now.
Yeah, he's strong. He was always a big guy, of course. Tribute to Brendan Dowling, of course, president and former chairperson of Austin Stacks, who passed away last weekend, age 85, from Donal Dowling. Yeah, absolutely. Would you believe it? We were talking about Brendan Dowling yesterday at the South Kerry game, because a good old friend of his from Warfield, Paddy Fogarty, was wondering, was he the Brendan Dowling that took a college's game off way back when they were clashing with each other, and it was the same man. He lived a great life, and I suppose Austin Stacks, he's seen it all, and I think it was a nice tribute as well that I suppose at the church, the Sam Maguire was there, and the Bishop Moynihan was there, and it was all gas house and all one in the 1 year. John, listen, thanks for all that. We'll catch up with you after the break, and just after the break, of course, we'll be talking to Colm Cooper, and then at 7:15 we will be talking to the draw for the Kerry Senior County Football Championship quarter final. We'll go to news.